Boss Key Top 10. I pick 10 things of something, and I rank them, and I talk about them, and then you watch it. So what's today's top 10 list? Today's top 10 list is going to be counter to my first one, which my first one was most overrated games. This is the most underrated games. Now, of course, same disclaimer, just because these are underrated doesn't mean they're like the best games in the world. These are just games that have gotten too much flack, too much hate, and it's not their fault. Maybe it's negative hype, maybe it's just the culture at large, but either way, these games are hated and they're spat upon for no good reason. So here it is. All right, number 10. Now, number 10 is not exactly a disliked game. It's a loved series. It's a loved series, a beloved series. But this version of the series kind of just gets overlooked. That is the Mario Kart handheld series. These games just fly under the radar when they come out. If they're not console Mario Karts, they just don't get fanfare. And people don't seem to really, people never seem to talk about these. Never. Mario Kart Advance, I think it was called Mario. The one on Game Boy Advance, super game. The one on DS, even more super. And the one on 3DS is just awesome. I loved Mario Kart 7 more than I liked Mario Kart 8. So yeah, the Mario Kart series, the handheld versions always seem to be a little bit better than the console versions for me. If I am going to play a Mario Kart game, it's probably going to be a handheld Mario Kart. That's kind of an unpopular opinion. And that's why that is number 10 on my most underrated games. All right, now number 9. Number 9 on the list of the most underrated video games is going to be The World Ends With You.
Ready to die and die.
A little game for the Nintendo DS, made by Square Enix. Super interesting gameplay. You know the DS has the top screen, and has the bottom screen that's also a touch. Boop, boop, boop. Now, in The World Ends With You have the top screen, like a beat 'em up. Bottom screen is another fight going on simultaneously that you control with your stylus. So with one hand, you're doing button input, second hand, you're putting input on the bottom screen. It's hectic, original, fun, weird, super Japanese. Square Enix needs to make more original IPs. Well, they do, and no one talks about them. World Ends With You needs more attention. It's a very underrated game, kind of flipped under the radar. No one talks about it. Everyone should play it because it's awesome. All right, number 8. Number 8 on the list of the most underrated games is going to be another Nintendo DS title. It's going to be Trauma Center: Under the Knife. Trauma Center series, super cool, very interesting gameplay. It's like an anime take on Surgeon Simulator, but better, not silly. Well, it is silly, but it's cool. Like the bottom screen, like you have these really intense surgery events, slice and suture, take out things. It's like the game Operation, but like. Yeah, everyone should play Trauma Center. It's one of the best applications of the touchscreen on the DS that I can really think of. There are some other ones, but Trauma Center I always go back to if I want to play an exclusive DS type of experience. Number 7 is another portable game. I'm starting to see that a lot of these underrated games are portable. But number 7 is Dissidia Final Fantasy for the PlayStation Portable. This is one game that, it got mediocre to negative reviews when it came out. That's pretty much when I stopped reading big name reviews, because I was like, did you guys play the same game that I did? Because this game is amazing. Okay, imagine like every what if video game Final Fantasy versus Final Fantasy dream that a nerd could think of. Think of that, right? Put that in your head and mix it with like every sweet anime fight that you can think of. Like it's just like Final Fantasy IV Cecil versus the Dawn from 9. It's really, really cool. I really love this game. It's definitely an underrated game in the Final Fantasy series. It's one of those like sub-series, you know, like Crystal Chronicles and Theaterism. You know, they just kind of fly under the radar and no one talks about it. And when they get shitty reviews like they did on Game Informer, oh, everyone believes word of mouth. Because you should play this game though. If you like Final Fantasy and you like fighting games, even if you just like fighting games, this game is worth a try just because it's such an interesting take. Very cinematic, very cool. Definitely worth being number 7 on my most underrated games. Definitely. All right, number 6. Number 6 on my most underrated games is going to be kind of an early-ish PS3/360 title called Enslaved. By the guys who did Heavenly Sword, which was a launch title for the PS3. Enslaved is really cool. Okay, just imagine this. Sci-fi, post-apocalyptic retelling of the Monkey King story from Chinese mythology. I don't know if anyone out there is familiar with the Monkey King story. Imagine the Monkey King story, but put into a sci-fi, post-apocalyptic setting. It's weird. It's awesome. No one talks about this game. You can buy this game for like $2 and it's worth so much more than that. Everyone should play this game. It's not the most perfect game. You know, it has its problems with AI and stuff, but they ended it on a cliffhanger. They wanted more, but they never made it. They're never going to make any more. They're never going to make any more. But yeah, Enslaved. Anyone out there who's interested in that should definitely check it out because that's a cool freaking game right there. Definitely underrated. All right, number 5 on my list of most underrated games. It's going to be a game now for PS3 and 360 by this little company. The name of them, it's just tiny little company. They might have made 1 or 2 games. Platinum. I don't know if you've heard of Platinum Games. You know, they've done a few popular games, I guess. What am I talking about? Platinum Games. They made some amazing games. And everyone thought they've heard of and played all the ones that they... I don't hear anyone talk about this game. Vanquished.
Too far forward.
Don't worry.
Okay, it's a third-person shooter, but you have a lot of mobility in it. So you're like zooming around. You have this robot suit. You're zooming around. You're skidding places. You're just flying around, zipping around, shooting stuff in slow motion. It's really cool. I kind of liked it more than Bayonetta, to tell you the truth. I never see anyone talk about this. This was like a free PlayStation Plus game like a year ago, and I remember playing it. I would pay full retail for this game because it's so good. It's so action-packed. Get your blood pumping. You're just shooting stuff as a man in a cyborg suit. The cutscenes are super cheesy, like Japanese skew on American kind of cheesy. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no one talks about this game when they talk about Platinum. They should. Anyone out there that loves Platinum and hasn't played this, definitely play this game. All right, number 4 on my list of most underrated games to me is going to be a game for the Nintendo 64. Now, this is a very well-known series, the Tetris series. But this one was on N64, Nintendo 64. It was called Tetrisphere. Now, just imagine same Tetris kind of formula. They switch it around a little bit. But imagine playing Tetris on a movable sphere. Yeah, I know. It's just as crazy as it sounds. They did tweak some of the rules. It's not just the same old hit them in 4 lines, you get a Tetris. That's not the way the game works exactly. If you're in a 3-dimensional sphere, it's a lot different. You can't really do that. But they did change some stuff around, and man, for the better, because this is a whole new Tetris experience, and I don't hear anyone talk about this game ever. If you have a 64 and you like Tetris, or if you like puzzle games, you should definitely give this game a go, because yeah, it's Tetris on a sphere. It's Tetrisphere. Think about it. All right, number 3. Number 3 on the slot, the most underrated games. It's kind of a recent game. It's a launch title for the Wii U from Ubisoft, of all people. It's this game called ZombiU. Nobody talks about this game, but it's so cool. Okay, just close your eyes. Think of it. Forget I even mentioned Wii U. I'm just going to describe a game to you, okay? Survival horror game. If you die, then that character is dead, and you have to go and collect your things from your dead body, who's probably a zombie now, who's going to attack you. And oh yeah, when you pause your menu to open up and micromanage your survival stuff, the game doesn't pause. So you're looking down at your screen and you're micromanaging stuff, pulling stuff out, and at any moment, a zombie could come up behind you. Apart from that second screen stuff, I mean, that doesn't sound like a Nintendo game. People were clamoring for Nintendo to be more mature, to be more dark, and they did. They opened with a really great imaginative third-party usage of that tablet, and no one bought it, I guess. I mean, I didn't read any reviews. I don't know what the critics thought, but I was really, really surprised about how well this game played and how much of a departure it was for Ubisoft themselves. I mean, they've been pumping out these yearly open world games, and they put out Zombie U, which if you want kind of a classical style survival horror game that uses second screen stuff really well, then you should definitely, if you have a Wii U, you should definitely check out Zombie U. Number 2 on my most underrated games is going to be a Final Fantasy game. This is Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. Everyone hates this game across the internet, and I'll never understand why. Take that back. I do understand why, only if you've never actually played it. Because on paper, yeah, I can get how someone could read what this game is and be like, I don't need to waste my time with that. But basically, instead of getting Final Fantasy V, we got this game, just kind of like a watered down RPG with a little bit of action elements in it. This is the beginner's RPG, but it's still a blast to play. The sprite work's really cool. The music is stellar. You know, it's not a hard game, but that doesn't mean it's a bad game. This game just gets shat upon all the time on the internet. I get why it does kind of, but not to the extent, because this game definitely deserves some kind of positivity because it's a fun game. But yeah, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, definitely one of the most underrated games out there. All right, so number 1, this is the most underrated game. This is the worst game in this series. I will never lie about that. But oh man, the fanboys and girls just ripped this game apart and continue to just rip. It's Metroid Other M. This game is not a great game. Went in there without any judgment, and I really liked it. It was fun to play. It was more action-oriented. It was pretty sweet. Apart from the story, which was unnecessary. They didn't need to have that much of a story or that kind of story. Now, when I play a game, the most important thing is going to be the gameplay, and the gameplay in Other M was fun. I mean, I'm not going to lie. The game is definitely underrated because everyone is just, you know, they have their rose-tinted nostalgia glasses on, or they just go along with whatever is, you know, popular opinion, you know, on the internet, and they never actually play the game themselves. This game is not a shitty game. This is a good game with questionable narrative choices, to say the least. But at the gameplay itself, the gameplay was really fun. You can't play the game and tell me it's a shitty game, because it's not a shitty game. It's a good game. It's just not as good nearly as it could have been. So yeah, I mean, that is my top 10 most underrated games so far. I mean, this might change in the future. These are the 10. These are the most important ones I could think of that I think people need to play. So yeah, if anyone has any more ideas for top 10 lists, let me know. If you liked the video, hit like. If you didn't like the video, hit dislike. Either way, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay beautiful.